Hello everyone, it's Mugiwawa here and still going strong through my indie game dev journey. So for this fourth dev blog, I would like to share with you all a game I played against Strublar, a good friend of mine, during the testing session of Infinite Muneris. And the game was great, interesting, intense and close. And so I will commentate it for you guys today. And I won't say much more, just let's jump into the game. So we are now into the match. I'm playing the red team and Strublar is playing the blue team. So basically my team is centered around Lila that uses her mines to be able to deal damage. And there is a lot of placement from the Axton, the Grayson and the binary. And the opposing team is centered around Kioma, which Strublar like to call this team Kioma is Bay. And a lot of support you need to help it. So here we've seen that I've just apply a little bit of strength onto my Grayson with my binary, and then I'm trying to figure out how to use my mines in a way that can also deal a lot of damage. And the second aspect of the team is trying to apply vulnerable on top of enemy units, so that way the mine deals even more damage. So here I'm placing a mine, and then Axton will be able to grab the V key onto the explosive mine, and so that deals damage. And now by grabbing the V key, I can move my Grayson, and I will be able to apply vulnerable on top of the V key because she's now in range. Like you can see, I'm just in range thanks to the grab from Axton, and so we're applying vulnerable. So the next mine we're applying are actually dealing more damage. And so here we're placing a targeting mine and an explosive mine. So the targeting mine apply vulnerable around the mine at the end of the turn, and then we move the binary because binary has a passive called Come Have a Look that pull enemy agent off one cell at the end of its movement. And so that way we could put the Vicky into the mine and next to the targeting mine, so she take even more vulnerable, and putting a little bit more vulnerable on the Smoky in the process. So now it's the turn of Strublar, its first turn. So Vicky already was under fire, and he's trying to think about what to do. And so one of his plan is to actually put strains onto the Kioma, so its main unit is able to deal a lot of damage. So he's trying to figure out the positioning. I don't know what spell he does have. Okay, go on top on the mine to remove the mine, so I can't keep using the mine the next turn. And he apply a little bit more strains. Same spell that I have on my binary, Limit Breaker. So now his Kioma has 12 strains. And then he moves his Janna, and Janna is going to use a boost propagation, which add 3 more bonuses on the bonuses already present on the target. So now we have a Kioma with 15 strengths, and Smokey just used poison lens to apply a little bit of poison onto the Axton. And we can see that Kioma has a spell called Virus Contamination. So Virus Contamination is a spell that have an infinite range, but you still need line of sight to be able to use it. But it can only target enemies that are either poisoned or weakened. And so that's why the Lila has the poison on it. The poison on the Lila has been applied by the passive of Smokey, which is little present, and which is a bit annoying. So that's why at the beginning of my second turn, I decided to use Cleanse directly, because the poisoned trigger every time I use an action. I take equivalent damage based on the poisoned this agent has, and since Lila it's my only level 3 agent, every turn taking 57 damage is a bit too much. And now my opponent had a positioning where is a very nice cross, and so I use the Meteor spell of Grayson, which is just dealing damage in a cross, but in the previous turn I applied strains on my Grayson, I did it again, so Grayson has like a lot of strengths, and here that was the perfect positioning, and the particularity of Meteor is that it doesn't require a line of sight. So now we go back to trying to figure out how to use our mines, and so here I'm placing a mine, and so the idea was to push the guy with AP shot, but then I decided to move the binary, and by moving the binary, so the Vicky got grabbed, and now I can't push Kyoma anymore, because the idea was to push Kyoma, so then the accent can place itself in front of the Lila to grab the Kyoma into the mine. So I decided to change my plan, but then I placed like the stasis deploy to protect my Lila, but I forgot that I still had 2 actions, so I should have probably like used a double AP shot on the Kyoma, because now I'm kind of losing 2 action, and so I'm just like going to place a few mines, hoping they could be useful later on the game. But yeah, like the ordering and the placement is something that is not super easy in this game, and that's interesting because that means that there is a lot of place for skill. So now we're starting like the second turn of Strublar, and he already has an ultimate available. So let's see if he's going to use it. Everything is kind of very close to each other, and so we can see that Strublar is using an ultimate that is called Mass Hacking, which is the binary ultimate that provides strength to all his ally in a circle up to 2 cells, and weakness to all enemy inside the same circle. So that removes a bit of the strength that was on the Grayson and provides strength to all his units. So that's definitely a strong play, and he's putting even more strengths onto the Kyoma with the experimental weapon from Vicky. So now we have a Kyoma with 35 strengths, which is like a lot, and now this Kyoma is going to be able to deal a lot of damage. Lila is not an available target for the Kyoma this turn because I cleansed the poison, so the virus contamination can't be used to actually deal damage to my Lila. And here is trying to figure out how to be a little bit annoying, not offering like placement, and so here there is like the virus contamination that now deal like 59, so I took like 177 on my Grayson this turn, so it's almost half HP. And he used also the perks Lethargy, so my Grayson has absolutely no action, which I think is a very good play here because like I still have like very nice meteor zone, but my opponent is denying that. So now I had my ulti of my own, so I decided to use the Lila's ultimate called Air Support, which deal damage in a cross zone and also like deploy an explosive mine on any empty cells under this cross zone. And so like the goal here is to try to kill the Vicky because she's very low on life, and also like try to set up a little bit more damage. And so here like how to get to the Vicky, like that was like why this positioning was made by Strublar, is trying to protect the Vicky, but air support doesn't require any line of sight, and here I can just like move the binary, move the enemy Kyoma with the binary, and so now I have a line of sight to kill the Vicky. So that's the first kill of the game. By dying, it activates the Kyoma's passive, which apply like poison 7 and weakness 7 to the enemy agent with the most health, which is binary here because the other agent like already took quite a beating. And here like I was trying to figure out a way, and I think I discovered that I could kill the binary, and so to do so I will need to invoke and deploy again the stasis field. That way like it move, because you can only have one object on the board with the same name, at the exception of the explosive mine. That's the only one that are non-unique. And that way I free the line of sight for my Lila, and so Lila can use AP shot to push the binary into the mines and finally kill binary. So a very worthwhile ultimate from my Lila, and I managed to kill like 2 support units from Strublar. And here I decided to also go for the lethargy on the Kyoma because Kyoma is very dangerous with his 35 strains. And so we're trying to just slow down a little bit that. So I consolidate my advance now that I have killed like our 2 units. I'm in a good position. But his Koma is pretty strong and is not close to be dying, so I need to remain vigilant and be careful. So we have seen that Kyoma decided to go again for virus contamination. That's the main source of damage of Strublar's team. My Grayson is now under midlife and he decided to apply a lot of like malus on top of my binary. And I was like kinda, yeah, okay, so my binary like now doesn't do a lot of damage, but why does he apply all those malus on top of my binary? And he finished the turn with like an invulnerability on top of his Kyoma, because like Kyoma is the most important character, like he needs to keep Kyoma alive. And so here I'm just gonna like focus the last 2 support units, so I'm moving the Janna next to the Grayson, so that opened up for an AoE for the Meteor, but that also activates the Grayson passive, which is my body is unstable, that apply vulnerable to any agent that finish a movement adjacent to Grayson. And so here we're like starting to deal a bit of damage. Of course, like with no ultimate this turn, there is like no kill potential available, but we're going to soften up the enemy team and trying to limit also the exposition of my Grayson. We've seen that the Kyoma is doing like 59 per virus contamination, so Grayson is actually in range to die. So I need to be careful about that. And here we're kind of like thinking about how to deal a lot of damage. So here I invoke a mine and I use the passive of binary, but unfortunately I used the wrong mines. I used the targeting mine that apply vulnerable 3 and not the explosive mine. So on the long run, vulnerable 3 is strong, but here I was definitely going for the explosive mine. So we kind of change a little bit the plan. We place the Smoky mine here, we attract the Smoky into the mine, so Smoky is starting to get low, only 85 health. We're moving Grayson from the line of sight of Lila, so Lila can use her last action with an AP shot onto the opponent Janna, and we place the Grayson behind the box. That way, Kyoma doesn't have like direct vision onto the Grayson. So if you want to kill the Grayson, which he can do, he will have to remain exposed to my Lila. And so here like Strublar decided to like do a play I wasn't expecting at all. He got another ultimate, so he decided before Smoky dies to apply poison onto my Lila. Otherwise the risk contamination would not be activated for the rest of the game probably. So that was very well seen by him. And now he decided to go for the binary. So my binary was full life and I was like, yeah, well, there is no clue he can kill me. But he used like the Janna's ultimate, which is critical alteration, that deals 3 true damage. That means damage that doesn't care about like the bonus and the malus on the target. And he deals 3 damage per bonus and malus on the target. And I don't know if you remember in turn 3, like Strublar decided to put a lot of malus onto my binary, and so he was setuping this like 1 turn kill on my binary. And so here I was like, well, I'm super fine, Grayson gonna die, but I still have like a very healthy characters. And no, like Grayson can die next turn. I have all my characters with poison on them, so they're all like activated for the virus contamination. So here I finished the Smoky, which apply poison and weakness on top of my accent, but I don't really care. And here we're trying to deal like the maximum amount of damage to the Janna. So the Janna is almost dead, but unfortunately I cannot like finish it. And so here I was trying to figure out a way of protecting my Grayson from the Kyoma. Because Israel's contamination has an infinite range, but it still needs line of sight. So I was trying to figure out like a way of protecting my Grayson and at the same time protecting my Lila. So only Axton is the target, because now I'm leading in terms of points. But if Grayson dies, then we're tied. Unfortunately, like Kyoma has 4 mobility, so I didn't manage to find the place to protect me. So I just decided to remove the vulnerability on Kyoma, because like Kyoma will need to expose itself this turn to be able to kill the Grayson. And so he's gonna be he's still healthy, but I still have a Lila level 3 and he has 10 vulnerable on his character, so this is something that he has to be careful. And so now he can kill the Grayson, and now we're tied. So it's 6-6, and I only have like 3 more turns left. The Janna is very low in life, but I don't have like good way of getting there because of like the crates that are blocking my line of sight. And also I have to be careful because you also have like 3 more turns, and in 3 turns like Lila can die or Axton can die, and if you kill any of those one, I lose the game if I don't manage to kill something else. So here I was like trying to get a way of dealing like a lot of damage, and unfortunately that's a game in development, and so here a bug occurred. Like the wall didn't block him, but actually it blocked him on the screen, on the screen of Strublar. So there was like a little like misconnection there. So actually Kyoma took the mine onto the screen of Strublar. So I still kept this game because I thought the game was interesting, and also to show you that, yeah, when you do the game development, bugs can occur, and that's part of the process. And also I think it was interesting to also share like this little stuff that can go wrong and can happen when you're actually like playing a video game. So here we can see that actually like Kyoma had the movement because he wasn't there on the on Strublar's side, and so he can like focus my Lila, and so my Lila now is like very low in life, and so I'm trying to figure out how I can actually like deal damage to the enemy Kyoma while keeping my Lila alive. And so I use my last perk, so now all perks has been used, so I can like put my Lila away, but more importantly be able to bring my Axton back into the fight. And so here I deal like triple AP shot, 38 each because of the vulnerable, and so now the real life total of Kyoma is 106. And so here I'm just going to go behind, and I place my Axton in front, and then I use Stasis Override, which is my ultimate of Axton, that invoke a stasis field, but also remove a move action to every agent adjacent of the stasis field when it's deployed. And so the Kyoma that way doesn't have mobility. Well, he can't use a move action because it doesn't have any, and since it doesn't have any move action, it doesn't have any line of sight because the stasis deployed is also like blocking this line of sight, and that way I'm protecting my Lila and my Axton from any damage from the enemy Kyoma. So here like Strublar is trying to find like a way of finding something to do. Is going to only like cleanse the vulnerable on Kyoma, but those vulnerable that has been removed are very important, because if you remember I was doing like 38 per AP shot with the vulnerable, and now it's only 33 per AP shot because he only has 5 vulnerable. And if I do like triple AP shot, that means 99. If he doesn't remove the vulnerable, it's more 15, so 114, and he has 106 health. So actually, like, cleansing this vulnerable means that I can't kill anymore the Kyoma. I can't kill neither of the Kyoma, neither of the Jana, so I decided to go for trying to go for a draw. So I decided to flee and protect myself with the stealthy deploy. And here he doesn't have any solution to reach the Axton or the Lila, and so he can't kill me with his last turn. And so it was a very, very, very close and intense game, which will result here in a draw. Stora is trying to figure out a solution. A little thing that he said, like, oh, maybe there will be a bug of line of sight. Unfortunately for him, and fortunately for me, there was not. And so we ended the game with this draw, which I think like was a very nice game, very intense, and I hope you enjoyed that match as much as I enjoyed playing it. And have all a nice day or nice evening depending on the time of the day, and see you soon.